Good Friday morning. The 19th chapter of Genesis, while it's a fascinating chapter, it's really a grim story. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. As the chapter opens, angels visit Lot's home and the men of the city try to violate them sexually. The angels grab Lot, blind the perverts, ask Lot if he has anyone else in the city that should be saved before the Lord destroys the city. Time doesn't allow me to fill in the backstory of the circumstances of how Lot got to this place. A man of influence, sitting on the city council, a city about to be destroyed for its wickedness. 2 Peter 2 reminds us that Lot was a righteous man, greatly distressed by the wickedness of the city in which he lived. Lot had tasted enough of the higher things of fellowship with God that he could never be satisfied with these sordid, ugly, obscene things of the city of Sodom. Today's passage gives me great pause as I consider the work of evangelism. Picking up the story at verse 12. Then the men, the angels, said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here? Sons-in-laws, sons, daughters, anyone you have in the city, bring them out of the place. For we're about to destroy this place because the outcry against its people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law who were to marry his daughters, "Up, get out of this place. The Lord is about to destroy the city." But he seemed to his sons-in-law to be jesting. I get that Lot's spiritual life was convoluted. He chose this town thinking he would prosper, and he did prosper in every measurable way, except spiritually. He was rich, and he was miserable. Regrets? More than we could possibly imagine. But was he genuine in his faith? And the answer is absolutely yes. So now we come to these final desperate moments in the history of Sodom, and Lot approaches the only two people that he could imagine might be worth saving, the men who were engaged to his daughters. At this point, there was no physical evidence to validate Lot's "the sky is falling, panicking cries to these two men. They only had Lot's word. And as impassioned as Lot may have been, these two young bucks thought that Lot was making a joke. When Abraham pleaded with God for divine mercy, there needed only to be found 10 righteous people in the city for the whole city to be spared. But when Lot went out, beginning with his own family, he could find no one. I can't help but think about these two son-in-laws. They were engaged to Lot's daughters, and surely they spent quite a bit of time around this family of faith. Why were they so spiritually nonchalant when Lot warned them? I remember being a teenager. I remember the pull to be like the world, wanting to be popular, and to have what everyone else has, and to do what everyone else does. Young people want to be welcomed by their peers, but they also want to be Christians as well. They desire fellowship with Christ, but they still want to fit in with their world. These two teenage boys wanted to have both, and spiritually, you simply cannot have both. They chose putting popularity and self before being Christian. All too often, teenagers from Christian homes, they drink, they gamble, they're sexually immoral. They do it all because they want to be accepted and popular at school. And at the same time, they want to be in church and to find the Lord and to have His blessing. The whole story of life and the whole story of Scripture is that you can't have it both ways. No one can serve two masters. If you're trying to live this way, surely as you have chosen your own desires first, you're going to lose everything, just like these two young bucks did. Unless you change your mind and begin to actually put God first before everything else, you, like these two unnamed men, will perish. I've pastored so many people who have fought their way to the top of the heap, only to look back on a burned out life with so many empty, wasted, barren years. So many, like these lost son-in-laws, choose so poorly in the years between 16 and 20, and they end up paying for it between the years of 20 and 60. If only our bad choices only affected ourselves. Sadly, when you attempt to gain the best of both worlds, you destroy others besides yourself. Maybe you didn't pick up in this story that Lot also struggled with having the best of both worlds. What was Lot's greatest regret when he woke up in that cave in the mountains and learned that the city had been destroyed, that his wife had turned to a pillar of salt? Do you think it was grief over his lost wealth or his vanished honor? I think the greatest, deepest regret of all in Lot's heart was the recognition that in trying to have the best of both worlds, he left his family with nothing from either. You who are parents, you're being watched by your kids, and they see your outward respectability, but they also see in some of you that the deepest thing in your life is to get and to gain and to enjoy pleasure. They see that you will quickly sacrifice Sunday church for tickets to a game. They see that you're always willing to take a bigger salary, regardless of how it may affect your family in terms of their new circumstances or circle of friends. They see that the things you sacrifice for, are willing to skimp and save for, are not the things of God, but for your personal trinkets and toys. They're watching. They see it all. Bit by bit, these kids lose interest in the Bible and in church. They resolve to get ahead in the world and to win the respect of Sodom, no matter what moral restraint they may have to throw overboard to do it. The sorrow that you're going to carry to your grave, the deepest sorrow of life in your heart, will be that even though you still have your faith, your children have lost theirs. This tragic story of Lot takes place over and over again, right here, right now, in the modern Sodom and Gomorrahs in which we live. I generally like to end my daily devotionals with an encouraging word, but maybe today someone needs a sobering word. I'll be back tomorrow if Jesus doesn't return. If Jesus has returned and you can't find a new video from me, go back to March 2021 and binge watch from that playlist.